like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumutin tapa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen to the youth. You like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumutin tapa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen to the youth. You like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumutin tapa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen to the youth. You like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumutin tapa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen to the youth. You like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumutin tapa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen to the youth. You like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumutin tapa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen to the youth. You like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumutin tapa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen to the youth. You like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumutin tapa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen to the youth. You like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumutin tapa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen to the youth. You like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumutin tapa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen to the youth. You like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumutin tapa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen to the youth. You like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumutin tapa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen to the youth. You like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumutin tapa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen to the youth. You like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumutin tapa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen to the youth. You like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumutin tapa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I'll listen to the youth. Biggie, or you like the biggie, it's a big or big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntepa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I'll listen to the youth. Biggie, or you like the biggie, it's a big or big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntepa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I'll listen to the youth. Biggie, or you like the biggie, it's a big or big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntepa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I'll listen to the youth. Biggie, or you like the biggie, it's a big or big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntepa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I'll listen to the youth. Biggie, or you like the biggie, it's a big or big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntepa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I'll listen to the youth. Biggie, or you like the biggie, it's a big or big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntepa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I'll listen to the youth. Biggie, or you like the biggie, it's a big or big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntepa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I'll listen to the youth. Biggie, or you like the biggie, it's a big or big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntepa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I'll listen to the youth. Biggie, or you like the biggie, it's a big or big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntepa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I'll listen to the youth. Biggie, or you like the biggie, it's a big or big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntepa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I'll listen to the youth. Biggie, or you like the biggie, it's a big or big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntepa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I'll listen to the youth. Biggie, or you like the biggie, it's a big or big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntepa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I'll listen to the youth. Biggie, or you like the biggie, it's a big or big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntepa makasana msepela.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I'll listen to the youth. Biggie, or you like the biggie, it's a big or big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntepa makasana msepela.
Hello Zambia, and thank you for joining us for another exciting episode of BM8 Unfiltered. Well, this platform was created so that you can have an interaction with Tonse Alliance 2026 presidential candidate, Honorable Brian Mundubile. You have a direct contact and you can actually ask him all the questions that have been burning on your hearts. All you have to do is comment in the various pages that we are live on at the moment, including the Fintuni Lungu Facebook page, the Smart Ecos Facebook page, Hot FM Zambia Facebook page, and as well as Voice of Kanchibia, including other pages that are continuously sharing this video as they are seeing it. And we've loved the feedback. I have to emphasize that. Now, allow me to introduce the man of the moment, Honorable Brian Mundubile. Sir, welcome.
Thank you. Mwane, mulibwanji, muchwani, mujivyepi. Hello, Zambia.
Well, it seems you've learned a lot more languages.
Oh yes, I've been interacting very widely.
Well, let's talk about the last 2 weeks for you. Very busy period for you. How's it been? How have you been faring?
Well, the past 2 weeks have been very busy. As you are aware, we had two very important national events. That's International Women's Day and Youth Day, which fell on was it the 12th, which was yesterday. So these were very, very important events, especially to the Tonse Alliance.
Let's talk about that. Women's Day, Youth Day, two very significant days for our country because majority of the population is the youths. Majority of the people that move this economy forward is the women. We saw huge crowds of the Tonse supporters turning up across the country. What does this say about your organizational capabilities, especially when we talk about the grassroots and the support that we're seeing for the Tonse Alliance?
Yes, Buchi, maybe before I respond to your question, let me take this opportunity to thank all the women, including Nakulumutinta Pamakasa, who turned out in their numbers right across the country in support of the Tonse Alliance. Nifuna kuonga zikomo kuli azimai wonse vanachoka nokucha celebrate International Women's Day. I want to say twalumba. I want to say litumezi ahulu tunasakililuku zikomo twatotela sana for that support. I should also mention here that and commend the Tonse Alliance team, the provincial chairman, provincial youth chairman, provincial women's chairpersons, the national chairpersons of women and youths, the council of leaders, and the entire Tonse team for putting up a fantastic job. They were able to mobilize women right across the country. Buchi, we celebrated International Women's Day in all the 116 districts in the country. That's commendable. We celebrated the Youth Day in all the 116 districts in the country. So I want to say thank you and commend all the youth and women chairpersons in Tonse Alliance for coordinating these very important events right across the country. And to say that the work has started. We'll continue to mobilize the youths, we'll continue to mobilize the women so that they realize their aspirations, they realize their dreams under Tonse going forward.
Speaking of the youth and the women, what do you make of the last 5 years? How has been their plight? Would you say that the youths have had a great time during this time, or the women have had a great time during this particular time, the last 5 years?
Buchi, as the bigger, I've had a lot of interactions with the youths. I'm not only interacting with them on BM Unfiltered, I'm interacting with the youths in person. Clearly, we have disappointed youths right across the country. They're disappointed because the hope and expectations, the legitimate expectation that they had in President Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND has not come to fruition. They were promised a number of things, and they acted to their detriment and supported the UPND. But when the UPND came into power, They've done very, very little, for the youths. They've also done very little for the women. So as I interact with Nakulumutinta, Pamakasa, and other women, and indeed the youths, be it the artists, be it the professionals, be it the small-scale miners, the entrepreneurs, all the youths across all sectors, including students, they expressed disappointment. And they said to us that they turned out in numbers during these celebrations because they're looking for hope. And then that hope is a hope that we're offering under Tonse for both the youths and the women.
Let's talk about something that's quite interesting. The cost of living for an average family of 5, as is calculated by JCTR, rose to a staggering 11,844 kwacha, a record high, by the way. What do you make of this, especially that now we are talking about things being better in the economy, as that's what's been peddled, because we are talking about single-digit inflation, which is now at 7.5, and it's continued to drop since January. What do you make of this?
Well, first of all, as you look at these figures, the first thing to look at is you're looking at the workers. An average worker, what's their take-home salary? If what the information I have is correct, an average worker, would go home with about 5,000-6,000. This also includes civil servants, including the people that are being recruited. And then you've got the average, cost of living being at 11,000. You can only imagine the hardships the people are going through. And when you talk about that, you're actually even talking about those that are in employment. There's a huge number of youths and women that are actually unemployed. The cost of living is hard enough for those that are in employment because they're working in areas where they have to pay so much for rental. What about those that are not in employment? What about our artists, our musicians, our actors, our entrepreneurs who are unable to participate in any government contracts because government now demands a PACRA form so that they establish exactly who owns this company. And if for some reason, which your name does not resonate well with those who are scrutinizing, you can't get a job. What happens to those people? What happens to workers in the mines? What happens to workers in mine subcontractors? So these are the questions to ask. You realize that a lot of people are living under very, very difficult conditions, especially that the cost of living has gone up.
Let's talk about the one person you've been talking about for quite a long time, Nakulumutinta Pamakasa. How do you say she's faring with this current 11,844 kwacha? How do you think this affects her?
Nakulumutinta is highly affected. Because first of all, if you look at the circumstances surrounding Nakulumutinta, Nakulumutinta is deep in the village. Nakulumutinta ordinarily was expecting that government to deliver 8 bags of fertilizer as promised. And these bags of fertilizer would be delivered at a depot where she can get her neighbor's grandchildren and her own grandchildren to go and carry the fertilizers to bring to her house so she can use them for farming. And once she's got a comfortable yield, Nakulumutinta will be able to survive because then she's got 15, 20, 30 bags of maize to be able to use right through the year. But Nakulumutinta got her fertilizer in a meda, in a bucket. Nakulumutinta is unable to even produce 5 or 10 bags of maize. So Nakulumutinta is going through a very difficult time. Remember, this Nakulumutinta cannot even afford to buy drugs from a drugstore because when she goes to the hospital, the nearest health post is giving us prescriptions. She can't afford to buy drugs for her grandchildren. So it's a very, very difficult time for Nakulu Mutinta.
Talk about the young person. He's just out of college and he's being raised maybe by Nakulu Mutinta Pamakasa. What's his plight? What does Zambia look like for him if the cost of living is at this particular high?
He's in a very difficult situation equally because the grandmother is helpless. Nakulu Mutinta tawoke tepa kuma kuboko yo. Umwishikulu alipishe skulu. Anasiriza college mzukulu. Abwerelamo kulu ambweweka Nakulu Mutinta. Nakulu Mutinta has nothing to give to this grandchild who has nowhere to stay in Lusaka to be able to look for employment, as he or she is in Lusaka. So umwishikulu abwerela mukumushi kuli banakulu bantu. Banakulu bantu takwetefya kulia hiyo. Tabali mine. Echo tabali mine Nakulu Mutinta kutila. Nidabale tontonkanyo kuti kwalaisa 8 bags of fertilizer. Vapekanya nevala apa kulima no kutila tukesafumia mo 50 60 bags. Tukafumia po 20 aya kubomfya ayambi tukashitisha tule shitamo salt na kukingo na sugar. Elo fertilizer yasa isa mulimeda. So which means Nakulu Mutinta ma plan yonse aya kusungila mwabe shikulu ya onaika. Nakulu Mutinta lidabe shikulu bafula panganda. Takwetene ndalama shakubomfyo kushito mutinga balo ala pantunga baya kuchipatala. Pale bapela prescription. Kuti umuti mwalefo ya tamutatukwete kashiteni. Kalina Nakulu Mutinta alesenda potumataba ashitisha ayashito muti. Nomba Nakulu Mutinta takpali hapa kumo kuboko yo. So it's a very difficult time for Nakulu Mutinta and their grandchildren.
Let's talk about something different. There was a statement issued by the chief government spokesperson, Honorable Cornelius Mwetwa, calling for an arrest, for your arrest specifically, based on some audio recording which is attributed to Honorable Kambwili. What do you make of such moves by the executive?
Well, it was a very, very reckless statement coming from a minister who I would have expected to know better. First of all, it's not his duty to instruct the police, to arrest citizens. If at all Cornelius Mwetwa, whoever he was referring to, had any evidence against Honorable Brian Mundubile, they should have tendered that evidence to the law enforcement agencies so that law enforcement agencies could act. You see, this issue, there's been this issue, people playing around, alikwata contract, walimpelema contract, alisendela advance payment. I must make it categorically clear. Government contracts, at least in the government that I served, were properly structured and properly implemented. If our company was given a road contract, it was a road contract out of an open tender, a competitive tender, a tender of several companies, both local and international. When the company was finally awarded that contract, a consultant was appointed to supervise the implementation of that contract. The supervision of that contract meant that the consultant was responsible for the quality, for the payments, and all the supervision surrounding that particular contract. And I want you to understand that. You have three parties, Bushi. Government is the client. Their duty is to pay. They appoint a consultant who also signs a contract with government. The duty of the consultant is to make sure that government only pays for certified works. Government only pays for quality works. The contractor's role is to implement and execute works. So that must, I want Cornelius Mwetwa, who may have some very basic or average understanding about contracts, to understand this. So if there's poor quality on a particular contract, it's the responsibility of the consultant, who is equally paid by government, to correct that particular quality. So in short, a poorly implemented, executed contract is the responsibility of the consultant. He assumes full responsibility if he certifies poorly executed work. This consultant, Buchi, lives on site. He's called a resident engineer. He wakes up in the morning to inspect the gravel, inspect the cement, inspect the stone, inspects everything that is going to be used on that particular contract. That's what they're paid for. So if something goes wrong with that contract, the first point of call is actually the consultant, because he assumes responsibility on behalf of government. As the contractor is executing the works, the consultant assumes responsibility. So it's therefore shocking for someone to come up and say, no, Honorable Mundubile's company was tendering fake invoices. There is no such a thing. Road contracts, which are very, very serious contracts. It's not a single piece of paper or invoice like you're selling stationery to government. You come up with a leaf and say 20 boxes of Tipex and no. These are properly executed contracts. The way these contracts are executed, on a daily basis, the contractor is supervised and reports are written every day. When a contractor is compiling an interim payment certificate, there are reports with accompanying pictures to the detail of the work that has been done. There are lab results to the detail of the work that has been done. So the consultant reviews this particular invoice. It can take him a week, 2 weeks, even up to 1 month. They are reviewing the claim that the consultant has put in. By the time they sign, the consultant is saying, yes, I'm satisfied that this contractor has done 20 kilometers of road. He have done all the layers in accordance with the specifications. They were using quality cement, they use quality stone. That's how detailed those particular claims are. From the consultant, it doesn't end there. It goes to a government engineer who equally comes to inspect and ensure that the works have been done. So the consultant takes responsibility, just like the engineer who signs the final certificate to go for payment. So there is no time that the contractor will just wake up and make a false claim and then go and tender it. Who signed, who certified it, who proved it, who approved it? So some of those claims have been meant to distract our trajectory. They've realized that Tonse Alliance, the BM8 project, the biggie, is out there to get the vote, is out there to form the next government. So the first thing they do in trying to distract this particular trajectory and the Tonse Alliance is to throw in statements like there is no such a thing, Buchi. There is no such a thing.
So what does it say about the political playing field right now? Because as each day passes, we get closer to August.
Well, first of all, what you must understand, not very long ago, Cornelius Muetwa and President Hakainde Hichilema believed there was no opposition. They believed there was no opposition. And, they were basking in their joy that it would be a one-man race. We told them and we reminded them. We said to them that the real competition here, the real opposition are the Zambian people. The Zambian people are the opposition. The Zambian people are the ones who are going through all these challenges. So it's the Zambian people that will make the final decision, as it were. So now, they've suddenly realized that they actually have competition. Because in an environment where there's no competition, why is there so much panic? There's so much panic that Cornelius Muetwa, whom I would expect to understand basic contracts and how contracts are executed, he now wants to go and say Brian Mundubile should be arrested for what?
What's the ideal playing field in a political space, especially as we are moving towards August? What would you want to see as a playing field for all political parties that are in this race?
I'll enlarge your question. What would be an ideal situation? First of all, Buchi, you are voted into power based on undertakings and the promises that you make. So don't, as a political party or political formation in government, don't get yourselves into a corner of desperation. The first thing to do is to perform. Once you perform, you will not be worried. You will not close the democratic space for other political parties. Let's say, let's take a practical example. Tumone, nga tualanda so babuchi tefi. Nga mwala ya abantu ati bunga ukapa 50 kwacha. Elo mwala ya abantu ati fertilizer tukala pele 8. Elo mwala ya abantu ati petrol ikaba 10 kwacha. Mwala ya abantu ati dollar ikaba 10 kwacha. Elo mwala ya abantu ati fertilizer ikaba 600 kwacha. Let's assume you manage to perform. Are you sure mukasaka mana Tonse Alliance ngeyalanda 12 kwacha rali kwa mandevu? Tete musaka maneyo. Even if unga tawuli pali 50 kwacha, nga waishe pali 70 kwacha. Petro taidi pali 10, pali 13 kwacha. Instead of 8 bags mapela 7. Na mchitako perform to some extent. Tamuaka kwati omwenso wakulesha ba Tonse Alliance, ukuya kwata rale, kuka mwala, na nkuka linga. Part 1, na mkwata record mulelango, kutivane, tuwalila ile misebo. Tinapanga marodi, tinapanga, chipata rundazi rodi, tinapanga. Tinakuzani kuti, chama matumbo tizasiliza, tinasiza chama matumbo rodi. Tenzo kaba kuti rodi ya kuchangiza, tizasebenzelapo, nasebenzelapo. Ma cotton farmers, ma soya beans farmers bonse waliwoko nduela. Sumunga nkale na manta, wakakamba batonse kutienda kuchipangali kwa nkala na rale. Ndaba, wakaenda kuja batonse, bazando kamba chani. Baza kamba chani, ndaba, vintu vambili mwanisa mwanji, muna sevenza. But if you haven't performed, as the case is, if you have failed to perform, you have failed to deliver 8 bags of fertilizer, you are instead delivering fertilizer mameda. You failed to bring down the cost of millimil. Instead of 50 kwacha, it is probably 350 kwacha. The cost of fuel is over 20 kwacha. You promise the youths that they will no longer be jerabos or illegal miners. These youths are going to be small-scale miners. You are going to buy them equipment, mukawashitila equipment, mukawapele na capital, mukawapele na licenses, mukawasambidisha na safe mining. Gana mubomba fionsefi. Tamwaka kwa mwenso ati yoba Tonse wale ya kubuchi for a rally. But if you haven't done that, you fear that Tonse will go to Buchi. For Tonse will go to Ndola, they will go to Kalulushi, to Chirawombwe, to go and expose your lies. So what do? You now use the police to frustrate every effort of the opposition to hold a rally and communicate with their members. It has never happened in this country before from the time we broke away from the one-party state. For the past 5 years, maybe there's just been 2 or 3 rallies. The democratic space for opposition political parties is simply non-existent. So the UPND were very sure that once they drag the PF matters in court in perpetuity, once they close the democratic space, then there will be no opposition. And yet the Zambian people have been crying inside. They've been hating inside and waiting for an opportunity. So Tonse Alliance has now come up. They have seen hope in Tonse Alliance because Tonse Alliance undertakes to address challenges of the youths, undertakes to address challenges of women and citizens in general. So they're now panicking. They will come up with all manner of allegations, all manner of accusations, including instructing the police to arrest innocent citizens. Arrest citizens where there is no evidence of any wrongdoing whatsoever. Why? Because they would like to frustrate or indeed slow down the pace at which Tonse is moving.
Well, you're watching BM8 Unfiltered, and remember, this program is designed for you to have an interaction with 2026 candidate for the Tonse Alliance, Honorable Brian Mundubile. Your questions are going to be answered. So send them in good time, put them in the comment section. There's a number that's scrolling on the screen. Send your question there and make sure it's clear. And that way we'll be able to address it as soon as we receive it. With that said, let's talk about another burning issue. One that to the effect that Attorney General Monilo Kabesha announced that the UPND administration will be looking at undertaking a comprehensive review of the Constitution if they return to power after the August elections. What do you make of such a statement? Because this is big.
Well, you can't change constitutions like you're changing shirts. Okay? The first thing to ask, when they were attempting to change the constitution, the Zambian people submitted that it was important for us to do a comprehensive constitution review process. Why couldn't they wait? Why couldn't they wait? They went through a process of amending the constitution through Bill 7, going against a court judgment, going against the many voices of the Zambian people. We argued this, and we argued it very strongly. We had said a constitution review process is governed by certain conventions and traditions, especially what you call new constitutionalism. We talked about dialogue. We talked about transparency, public engagement, accountability, timelessness, and above all, the legal framework. The UPND ignored all these principles. These are fundamental principles in constitution making. These are immutable principles in constitution making. And yet, UPND simply said, to change the constitution. If we change the constitution, as long as the president ngabaisa kwata advantage waka inde chilema, wakwata 40 MPs even before the elections start. And because of the nominations and proportional representation, pakutilati, in case wa wina, pakese kwata majority mu parliament. Ngabakwata majority mu parliament. Edo numba wake se chinjo lupapulo for good. Pantecho wale fuaya, puisa waba life president. Ngawaisa ingila mu parliament. Baka lete constitution na kabidi. Ngayaisa ila constitution na kabidi. Nganaba kwata, assuming he won. This is what their thinking is. Unfortunately, they do not win this election. But their thinking is that in the event that they won, President Hakainde Hichilema will have an inbuilt majority. They will quickly compromise a few MPs who would have come to parliament either with businesses tied to government, or they've got some criminal charges on their backs, blackmail them, intimidate them as the case has been. They go to their side, they get a two-thirds majority, amend the constitution. What they mainly want to do, they want President Hakainde Hichilema to be a life president. First of all, they will remove the term limits. That is a well-known fact. They will remove the 50+1. They will remove the running mate. And then from there, continue amending the constitution so that their president remains in power in perpetuity. So that's what it is. That's what it was from the beginning. When the people spoke, they backpedaled. But they had to force these amendments, which are in Constitution Amendment Act number 13. They had to push those amendments through so that they prepare for a major constitution review, giving themselves an inbuilt majority. But the Zambian people should not worry. There's only one way to stop them from doing this. 13th August 2026 is a defining moment. Edo muka ye vota, epo tukaya veminika mano. Muka ye vota in numbers. Tonse Alliance is going to give you credible members of parliament, councillors, council chairpersons, mayors, and the president. Aba kakwate chishinka cha kuteke chalo. Aba shakale chinja constitution mubu mfisolo. Kuchinja constitution mukabisa bisa.
Maybe coming from Bill 7.
Well, Bill 7, like we said before, it's possible to amend the constitution unconstitutionally. In constitutional law, we have what is called unconstitutional constitution amendments. This is where you ignore all the other processes, all the other conventions, outside Article 79. You use the mechanical numbers in Parliament and push it through. This is exactly what happened. But in this particular case, the Zambians have an opportunity. So we are calling upon the church, the civil society, the civil servants, and all those people, all those well-meaning Zambians, to ensure that they turn up in numbers on 13th of August 2026 to vote the UPND out. Because once they are voted out, we are going to instead have a review of this newly amended constitution.
Let's talk about endorsements. You received your fair share of endorsements. You've been endorsed by a lot of candidates, a lot of political parties that have come under the alliance as well. And President Hichilema as well. received endorsements, which brought a number of issues just 2 weeks ago, where councillors across the country overwhelmingly endorsed President Hichilema, and later on it emerged that they were stage managed. What does this say about the popularity of President Hichilema heading towards the August elections?
Yes, I think I would like to join my colleagues who have commented in the past that there is an urgent need for President Hakainde Hichilema to change his handlers, because he's being embarrassed every day. What happened that day when the councillors were called for a meeting at Mulungushi? My councillors came from Mporokoso. They were at my office the day before. They even came to see me after. So there was nothing to do with endorsements that they came to do. There was no meeting whatsoever that was called by councillors themselves to endorse President Hakainde Hichilema. I had councillors from Kalulushi. I had councillors from Kitwe. Councillors from Umansa were at my office. I had councillors from Nakonde. Councillors from Eastern Province, from Chipata. I had councillors from Lumezi. Councillors from Sinda. They had come to see me. So after the event, they all came to say, we are shocked. We don't know what the president is trying to do. They arranged someone to come and say, councillors have endorsed you. But that's a very serious sign of desperation. It's a very serious sign of desperation, which is very, very unfortunate indeed. And that came after an event in Ndola, in Kitwe, I think, where the president was meeting his students and so on. And we later learned that it was a rented crowd. Those people were promised money. And when they were not paid, we started getting statements. That's not supposed to be the case. President Hakainde Hichilema, the only thing you do in politics, my dear brother, is that you perform. When you perform, you don't have to fake endorsements. You can't fake popularity. You know, which it reminds me of some comedy. Yeah? This was the famous Mr. Bean. You know, Mr. Bean was a very funny guy. You know, sometimes you would walk up to the nearby store and buy 100 Christmas cards, and he signs them to himself and posts them. And when he gets home, he's so surprised that people love him. You know what I mean? So this is the sort of what we're experiencing now. You can't fake popularity. When you perform, people respond. And the opposite, unfortunately, is true. So in this particular case, the desperation that we're seeing coming from President Hakainde Hichilema's handlers in trying to fake this popularity, pay up people, dress them in t-shirts. These are students from these universities. They love you, and and yet money has been delivered to the principal to pay them allowances to attend. You can't force popularity. You can't fake it. You just must earn it. So if President Hakainde Hichilema had performed for students, if he had performed for small-scale miners, if he had performed for mine workers, if he had performed for civil servants and the rest of them, he would not need to go through this trouble. It's actually more expensive. What he's doing is actually more expensive than performing. So if he had paid attention right from the beginning, if he did not pay attention to persecuting the late President Edgar Chagwa and many other politicians like Malanji, Bowman, Munia Zulu, Mavonga, Chilangwa, Chitotela, Kalumba, and the rest of them, he spent a lot of time on political persecutions. He neglected to pay attention to what the Zambians needed, what the Zambian youth needed. The Zambian youths in performing arts were very expectant that he was going to review acts of parliament, the legislation, to look at the intellectual property rights, for instance, to be able to promote their businesses, to promote their industry, as it were. The artists in the music, in the film industry, were looking forward to reforms, illegal reforms that will later favor them and turn these particular sectors into economic sectors. So now he's having to chase after them, to pay them to attend meetings. Yet he could have just performed and they would have loved him.
Let's take a short break and start responding to the questions that you, the listener, has. So if you have got a question and you've put it in the comment section, Honorable Brian Mundubile, Tonse Alliance President, is about to start responding to all the questions in the comment section. We take a short break. When we come back, he answers all those questions. It's BM8 Unfiltered.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen. Like the big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntapa makasana msepela. Ena.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen. Like the big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntapa makasana msepela. Ena.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen. Like the big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntapa makasana msepela. Ena.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen. Like the big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntapa makasana msepela. Ena.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen. Like the big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntapa makasana msepela. Ena.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen. Like the big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntapa makasana msepela. Ena.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen. Like the big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntapa makasana msepela. Ena.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen. Like the big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntapa makasana msepela. Ena.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen. Like the big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntapa makasana msepela. Ena.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen. Like the big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntapa makasana msepela. Ena.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen. Like the big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntapa makasana msepela. Ena.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen. Like the big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntapa makasana msepela. Ena.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen. Like the big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntapa makasana msepela. Ena.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen. Like the big brother will sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntapa makasana msepela. Ena.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen. You like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti nitapa makasana msepela. No.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen. You like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti nitapa makasana msepela. No.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen.
For Honorable Brian Mundubile, who is the Tonse Alliance candidate for the 2026 general elections come August, is going to answer all those questions that you've put in the comment section on the various pages that we are live. I'm talking about the Ifintuni Lungu Facebook page, Smart Egos, Hot FM Facebook page, as well as the Voice of Kanchiria Facebook page. You're sending those questions in the comment section, and the feedback has been amazing, and we are happy that you've kept bringing the different issues to life in the comment section. Let's start off with Charles Kasonde, who says, how do you rate the performance of the SME ministry since its inception in 2021?
Well, the performance has been dismal. The idea was brilliant. The idea of introducing that ministry was brilliant. And even as Tonse, when we formed government, we're going to maintain that ministry. But it was very clear that they didn't think or plan to the end. Something was missing. There was need, first of all, to understand, to do an impact assessment of this particular ministry. Was it going to answer the questions that many of our youths who are SMEs have? So the major challenges the youths have, for instance, is finance, access to capital. Big challenge. The second challenge is they have a challenge with opportunities. So they've got the skills, most of them. They have no capital and they have no opportunity. So the first thing to address, with the setting up of that ministry, government should have gone ahead to also create a bank, a youth bank. Very deliberate, because when you're talking about empowerment, it's going to be deliberate. So had they done that, and then they look at the many opportunities. What opportunities exist? Starting with government itself. We've talked about this. We've said, if you want to talk about youths that in metal fabrication and carpentry, for instance, these needed to go through some further training on quality control so that their products are compliant with the standards set by Zambia Bureau of Standards. And immediately as a government, create opportunities for them. What has happened under CDF at a local government level could have happened at a national level. Imagine, Buchi, if government decided that all government furniture will come from SMEs who've been properly trained, who've been assisted with capital to buy high quality treatment, equipment, and they've been trained to produce high quality products. That market alone runs in billions. It means that there's been some backward and forward integration. The youths will simply rise and soar in their various businesses. So talk about government procurement. The biggest consumer of goods and services is government. But of what relevance was this ministry when it came to government procurement? Where SMEs, local SMEs, especially run by youths, were they favored in any way? Did they have some preferential access to these contracts? The answer is no. So you see, the ministry was there, but the youths continued to run business as they did before when there was no ministry. There had been a few attempts here and there through CEC and so on. We didn't see practical steps that could have taken the youths out of the woods and put them in the economic sector.
You see, the thing with the Ministry of SMEs is before, there was the question in the court to say the business environment for entrepreneurs is one that needs to improve. So my question to you is, since the creation of the ministry, would you say that the business environment in Zambia has improved and SMEs have had a better environment to operate since the creation of the ministry?
Well, it doesn't matter how perfect the operating environment is. There has to be opportunities, first of all. There has to be business. Okay? So before we even go there, okay, did government create opportunities within government? How much in value terms, how much government procurement was given to the SMEs under that particular ministry as a deliberate measure? Government in Gaile spend, let's spend 4 billion kwacha in a particular budget. Muli a government procurement. Muli 4 billion ni ngai isolated specifically for SMEs registered under this particular ministry, so that you were then able to distribute these opportunities. Apart from CDF, other government procurements, niya ngaya ilepo kukasama, aya ilepo kumongo, deliberately, aya ilepo kukabwe, aya ilepo kundola, aya ilepo ku Livingstone, aya ilepo kusesheke. Government tingalisa plan ifin to the must plan to the end. Let me give you an example. Nga pali 4 billion, tefyo? Pali 4 billion government procurement. At EE, twala ingisha ma SMEs, spread across the country. Mwachita agree ukweba ati the following products yakashitwa from the SMEs in these particular areas. And ishwen dalama nomba shawa sent to provincial centers. Through a transparent process, that business and the procurement happens at provincial level. What have you done? You have spread this particular resource or the wealth across the country. You have taken the procurement systems to the lower level so that the procurement is done at provincial level. Number as it is, Fiona Kulusaka, our president walela ndati wakabola na Mulusaka. If into number to alambokula tuma muma provinces. So let's evaluate that statement, Buchi. We can't ignore that. Budget, average budget yaba UPND in 250 billion. 250 billion. 250 billion in Dalama Shia Kudi CDF is only 5 billion. So which means 245 billion is to administered from Lusaka. Number of president and that to live for in Dalama Shia Kuma provinces, Pantimulusaka Mikalabakabola. Why are they still retaining 97% of the budget in Lusaka? Tapali Ndalama Shia Kuma areas valid under president here. If that planned to the end, ama SMEs are not only SMEs in Lusaka, ama SMEs na kumongo kobaba, na ku Livingstone na kuchoma ekobali, na kusesheke ekobali. Government should have been deliberate, taking advantage of this particular ministry, meaning that as a government department at district level, they should have been monitoring and registering the SMEs that have gone through some training. They've been trained in quality control. They've been trained in all these other areas, complying with Zambia Bureau of Standards and other government departments, so that they qualify to supply their goods and services to government. And you take it at district level, and the procurement is done at that level. So government procurement alone would have solved the first step towards the realization of a successful program for small and medium enterprises.
Norman Peary says, has the Tonse Alliance met with the registrar's office conditions of how a party should be registered, and if the Tonse Alliance is using the FDD as on the ballot box, what symbol will be used during the elections? Yes.
So Mr. Piri, Zameneta Chita, Tonse is an alliance. Tonse is 15 political parties and 15 civil society organizations. So Tonse has 30 organizations in total. So Tonse Council of Leaders, Wanankala Pans, Sanka FDD, kuti special purpose vehicle ya to ni FDD, ndiye izankala izachita field presidential candidates and other candidates. So chitanta uza kuti ija symbol ya leaf Iwula is a symbol that we're going to use in the elections, because that's a symbol that FDD uses. We chose FDD as an SPV. We're going to go with the FDD symbols backed by Tonse, the entire Tonse team, all the Tonse Alliance members backing candidates under FDD.
Interesting. The other one is coming through from Mufasa, who says, what is your comment about the app that has been created by government. And I think this is the Imisepela app. What is your comment on that?
I have my reservations. You know, these apps that show up a month before elections, you must be very suspicious. Yenze kuti app mfasa yenze kuti lonse. You've been crying, youths, about jobs, but yenze kuti app. Okay, let's say maybe app ili bwino. Mani nchito zili kuti. Inchito buchi mufasa inchito sharela ndapo president akainde ichilema bali nda panchito obanesi ba teacher banesi that is limited. I'll give you an example. Twalibebele from the beginning ukwebati nga mwalolesha economy ya Zambia. Economy ya Zambia, agriculture sector alone employs about 60%. So ngachako watu mwaposa kwa mano kuma farming blocks. Tuambile mu 2021 there are 12 farming blocks across the country. Ama studies are carried out. Yalelango kwebati an average farming block, which will be like an agro-processing base, an agro-industrial processing park, can employ between 15,000 and 25,000 workers. So the government, first, ngalali serious na employment, instead of boasting about 30,000 workers, a single farming block, this is researched, this is researched, could employ up to 25,000 people. Meaning, ila namba wa ingishe chalo Tonse could be employed by Kalungushi farming block in Kasama. Because you're talking about farming and agro-processing industries. You're talking about imisepela isha logistics, imisepela isha ilikuma technical colleges and so on, all employed under that farming block. So to start with, even before you start talking about apps, okay, you must have created jobs. Once you create jobs and you create some brilliant apps, it will be easy for you now to tap into that app and find a job at Kalungushi farming block, for instance. So mufasa. Let's take 25,000 for an average farming block. This is an agro-processing park. They are not only farming, but they are also value adding. You know, they are doing value addition to the end. This was the theme around these farming blocks. It was an immediate solution to unemployment, especially amongst the youths. Once we are looking at other sectors, this was a low-hanging fruit. So you were talking about an average of 300,000 workers. Okay, one industry, one sector, which is agriculture sector. So with 300,000 opportunities created, our president Raisa Panga up, it was going to make a lot of sense.
Let's talk about a question that's coming through from Chola Dixon, who says, what are you going to do about the uneducated youths and about the cyber law? Two questions in there.
Okay, so Dixon, when we're talking about youths, we are talking about youths, our creative skills. Wa youth our shaya ku school. Wa youth our have ku college, our pelem grade 7, our pelem grade 9, na our shanya ntilepo fe ku school. So, ngatulesha pali ya shiriyama youths. For instance, we are saying katusende ama artists. We sit down ama artists no kulolesha, okay, ama funde, if you look at intellectual property law, are they protected? Are their works protected? Okay? Tuachinja laws mulia, okay, how do we grow this particular industry? How do we protect their work and ensure that this is an economic sector? Tuaya kufilm industry. Tuabomba fmofine. Tuaya kumisepela ama professionals. By the time we are training them, we must also be ready kwa batinga pusha ma colleges our manesses, for instance. We are getting a lot of suicide cases. Abantu aba stressed. Abantu aba kwati they've lost hope. Bali ya kuskulu under difficult circumstances. Ngaba pusha, there's nothing prepared for them. So we must be able to prepare, to the end. So imisepela aba sambirila, aba shasambirila, aba ishwenchito ya kuminwe, aba ishwo kuimba, aba ishwo act for all under one category of youths. So the attention Tonse is going to pay, they will pay attention to all the youths, regardless of their social status, as it were. For instance, tualilanda sana pama small-scale miners. We're very clear pama small-scale miners. Small-scale miners, one, will be assisted to evaluate the resource in the areas where they're working. Will formalize those particular activities, so that they enter into a formal sector. What do I mean by that? So, what I mean is, government goes in. Government has got that capacity to go in and do the surveys, establish the quantum of the resource that exists, and ensure that ugoku shiri tewabikire kwa licenses yo. Ama youths wabachita allocate kuloko weshira kuli Filippo. Immediately through the Ministry of Small and Medium Scale Enterprises, they are given loans in form of equipment. They are given loans in form of capital. And in that same area, you create an aggregator who can be either government or the private sector, so that they're not exploited in terms of price. So you've trained them on safe mining. You've trained them on environmental protection. You've also trained them on financial management. But so that their sectors are formalized.
Pethias Chimbalanga says, what is your plan for the neglected people of Northwestern Province, particularly Solwezi, my president?
Pethias, you see, when you look at Solwezi, when you're looking at development, I admire the Chinese model. I've said this before in this program. When we went for a benchmarking tour in China, we learned something. When China was developing, they looked at this vast country and a huge population. So they started by developing the easier areas, the coastal areas. They were easier to develop because these were like low-hanging fruits. So when I look at areas like Solwezi, Konse, Kulakuka, Sempa, those are low-hanging fruits. We are not even supposed to be having problems in those areas. Because what is supposed to happen in those areas, the youths in those areas, like I said, if Imbwa, that Imbwa, okay? You use what you have. So what we have in Northwestern Province, we have mineral resources, we have gold, we have copper, we have cobalt, and so on. So if by now we are supposed to be giving reports on how many youths have graduated into millionaires in Northwestern Province under government programs, because government has got to be deliberate. If the Northwestern Province, my minerals, can we focus and see how youths are going to participate, especially in areas where they've been able to discover the resource themselves? What has government done? Has government helped them with equipment? Has government helped them with training in safe mining, in financial management, in environmental protection? The answer is no. So if government was to move in and structure and formalize that particular industry in that area, that can easily be done. So Pethias under Tonse, it's not something that should take very long because it's just policy based.
Let's talk to Kaisa William Mafuta Banda.
Kaisa William.
Yes, and he says, Zebige, we need a committee on disability affairs in the Tonse Alliance.
Brilliant, brilliant, Banda. Brilliant. Kaisa William Banda, I'm very, very happy. That's the importance of this particular program, because I want to hear from you. Okay? We care for the disabled, but if there's an oversight on our part, you have contributed, consider it done. William, are we able to send him a message on the phone number? He can send us a phone. He will send us a phone number. So William, we're going to get in touch with you and hear more from you. If you are one among the differently abled, in this particular case, you may just have landed yourself an appointment. Yeah, we want to be able to carry everybody through. So thank you, William, for that contribution. That will definitely be done.
Tell us what you are going to do to improve the living conditions of people, not fighting politics. Elijah.
Not fighting politics?
Yeah.
What does it mean? Elijah?
Yes, Elijah.
I don't get this question.
I think how are you going to improve the living conditions of people in Zambia once you're elected president?
Okay, so Elijah, maybe he may have joined the program late. So Elijah, number one, if a policy yesu twaishibati ubwafya bukalamba twakwata mu Zambia, if we as Tonse we're going to pay attention to poverty reduction. So pali poverty reduction, We will only reduce poverty by creating industrialization, to ensure we have manufacturing industries and many other industries. This is the only way we can create employment. Ila employment ya nurses na teachers ya limited ila pela pamo. So once we industrialize, we are going to create employment, and once we create employment, we are going to reduce poverty. We have gone into specifics, Elijah. We have talked about youths in mining. We've also talked about, for instance, mine workers. We have said as Tonse, we introduce sectoral minimum wages. We know that some of our brothers who are working in the mines are being exploited. Why? Because they're not employed by the mainstream mining houses. They're employed by subcontractors. So many a time, even engineers, young engineers are forced to accept low salaries because there are no opportunities. So as Tonse government, we are going to set up sectoral minimum wages. So what a mine engineer, a civil engineer, a mechanical engineer, an electrical engineer earns, the one who works for Mopani, is the same salary, same minimum an engineer who works for a subcontractor is going to get. What a driver who works for Mopani gets is what a driver who works for a subcontractor works. So those are some of the interventions. So Elijah, we've also talked about small-scale miners. We've talked about artists, and musicians, and even artisans. We've talked about educated youths and many others. So we've been running through the many sectors, especially those that concern women and also concern the youths. So let me give you another example, Elijah, maybe just to give you comfort. If our policies are based on Nakulumutinta Pamakasa, let's take, for instance, a government program like Cash for Work. Quite a lot of programs like Cash for Work. It's a good program in short term. But then we, as Tonse, we would prioritize programs under Cash for Work like Pave Zambia 2000, where we plan to pave up to 2,000 kilometers of roads within the country. So ngachako Cash for Work idawantwale pianga fe mumseo. The longa ba pianga mailo futi fisoso fia bapo. There hasn't been much change in these communities, but we are saying ngatwa mwaka nyama, and using the paving machines that government already procured. There are paving machines in every province right across. So what hasn't been there is political will to use these paving machines, so that once you manufacture and make pavers, you then allow women and youths to lay pavers in the streets. Most of that flooding you're seeing would have reduced.
As we conclude, your final comment is coming through from Kaluban Sama, who says, will you maintain meal allowances for universities, and how will you make it work? Let's that is our final one.
Yes, of course, having been a student myself, I know how important those meal allowances were. Before we went to university, what was happening, government used to prepare meals. Bale pika kwale fa ku DH, twale afene mbale. No, in fact, when ya priye palifu, twale afene mbale naka coupon, wasende fya kulia waya. So the program changed because government realized that these youths, there are many other things they'll require, little things that they'll require besides meal allowances. So these meal allowances are indeed very, very important, for our students. They will indeed be maintained. What has been important about meal allowances has been to be able to get as many students as possible onto this program. You don't only limit it to particular learning institutions of higher learning. You spread it to other institutions also. Even students who are doing other programs, maybe not necessarily degree programs, maybe diplomas and so on, also need assistance because they're also being trained. So yes, they'll be maintained, but we'll go further to even include other students in other learning institutions.
Well, that's it for us on BM8 Unfiltered. Join us again next week, same time, space, on the Brian Mundubile Facebook page. Also on the Ifintu Nilungu Facebook page, Smart Egos, and the various pages that are continuously sharing this particular video. So if you've sent a question in the comment section, no worries, it will be addressed when we come back. But also, keep those questions coming. There's a number on the screen. You could send in good time, and you could actually think through the question so that it helps improve the quality of conversation that you're having with Honorable Brian Mundubile, who is the Tonse Alliance President and candidate for the 2026 general elections. Thank you for joining us. Good evening, Zambia.
Take me as a big brother. Take me as your people.
The first thing I'll do is that I will listen. Like the big or big brother who sit and listen to the youth. Nina kulumuti ntapa makasana msepela.
Take me as a